She said she was picking up almond milk. I found the torn wrapper hidden in her glove box, tucked away, but not gone. My cheating wife thought she'd erased every trace. But that was the moment I knew, if I stayed silent, she'd take herself down. I found myself standing in the lobby of the Granite Crest Hotel in downtown Austin, not far from the Capitol building. It was Thursday night, just around 10 p.m. I wasn't there to check in or relax. I had come for something much darker. My wife, Jenna, was there too, but not with me. She was spending the evening with her boyfriend, completely unaware that I knew about the affair. For months, I had been aware of her betrayal, and it was eating away at me, slowly eroding whatever peace I had left. I kept wondering what went wrong between us. Was it my fault? Had I pushed her into the arms of another man? Clearly, I wasn't enough for her anymore, not in the ways that counted. I even considered letting her carry on, hoping she'd get tired of Dylan and return to me. But deep down, I knew that wasn't going to happen. Once she had experienced the excitement of something new, there was no going back. I waited and hoped for things to change, but they never did. In the end, I knew I had to face the truth. It was better to end it now than let the betrayal continue to eat at me. There were so many questions, and the answers seemed just out of reach. So I made a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. I wasn't there to get violent or make a scene. That wasn't going to help. My lawyer had warned me against doing anything drastic, reminding me that violence would only make things worse. I wasn't about to ruin my life over her boyfriend. No, my goal was simple. To put an end to the charade and regain some dignity, even if it meant making Jenna uncomfortable. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marcus Lane. I'm 34 years old and was born and raised in Austin. I'm, or at least I was, an emergency room doctor at the city's main hospital. I recently took a leave of absence because the job was burning me out. I'd been running on empty for years, working myself to exhaustion, and my doctor insisted I take a break before I collapsed. I didn't tell Jenna about my time off because, honestly, she wouldn't care. That's just who she is. Cold, self-centered, and indifferent to my struggles. Jenna, my wife, is 32 years old and works as a loan officer at a national bank in the city. We live in a nice 2-bedroom apartment near the hospital, and thankfully we don't have any children. She's stunning, 5 feet 8 inches, with long brown hair that turns heads wherever we go. Men notice her all the time. I met her in college in an English class I was taking to fulfill a requirement. I was a science major, so I didn't care much for literature, but Jenna quickly became my focus. I asked her out, and the rest, as they say, is history. After graduation, we lived together for a couple of years before getting married shortly after I finished medical school. I was lucky to graduate without debt, thanks to my parents' support, though I worked every summer to help pay for my education. My dad owns a construction company, and I spent my summers doing manual labor at his sites, earning minimum wage to help with school expenses. Hard work is something I'm used to, and I've carried that ethic into my career as a doctor. Now, I earn a solid income, $180,000 last year alone, and Jenna makes around $90,000 at the bank. Financially, we're doing great, and my potential as an ER doctor is huge. In a few years, I could be making up to $600,000 a year. We had big plans for the future. Starting a family, buying a house in the suburbs, and building a life together. Or at least, that's what I thought. Clearly, Jenna had other ideas. I found out about her affair by chance. A nurse from the ER, who had met Jenna at a holiday party, saw her at a downtown restaurant with Dylan. She recognized him, more on that later, and told me. That night, I watched as Jenna and Dylan walked through the Granite Crest lobby, holding hands, before disappearing into the elevator. I saw him press the button for the 12th floor, and the doors closed behind them. I stayed in the lobby, checked my watch, and went over my plan one more time. This wasn't about revenge. It was about regaining control of my life. I had taken enough disrespect, and it was time to make things right. I walked up to the front desk and asked to be connected to Dylan Carter's room. Dylan is a local businessman who runs a landscaping and property maintenance company. He's married with 2 kids, yet somehow thought it was okay to have an affair with my wife. Dylan and Jenna had been carrying on their affair for almost 2 years before I found out. The truth hit me hard when I learned just how deeply she had betrayed me. It was pure chance that uncovered her secret. A nurse I worked with casually mentioned seeing Jenna at a downtown restaurant with someone she called her friend Dylan. That weekend, I had been working yet another 18-hour shift, dealing with the usual chaos of the ER, stabbings, shootings, and everything in between. Meanwhile, Jenna was out having dinner with her lover. The nurse recognized Dylan because his landscaping company had recently worked on a project for her husband. And just like that, Jenna's secret was out. A few days later, I decided to test the waters. While sitting at the kitchen table, I casually mentioned that Carol, the nurse, had seen Jenna dining out with a friend. I didn't mention Dylan by name, but asked about the food, joking that we should try it out sometime. Jenna froze for a second, her face going pale, but she quickly recovered, brushing it off with a vague, "It was fine," and changing the subject. That brief moment of panic on her face told me everything I needed to know. The next week, I began putting my plan into motion. She started doing things differently. Subtle things. She stopped checking in when she left work. Her phone, which used to lie face up on the counter, was now always screened down. Her excuses started to stretch thinner, running errands at odd hours, needing alone time after a 9-hour shift. One Saturday, I told her I'd be volunteering at a medical seminar downtown. Instead, I parked 2 blocks from her bank and watched. 3 hours later, Dylan's truck pulled up. She walked out a few minutes later, hair brushed, makeup freshened, a tote bag slung over her shoulder. She kissed him before she got in. I stayed in my car. I didn't flinch. She told me she was out buying groceries that day. Even brought back a loaf of bread and 2 bottles of wine like she knew she had to make it believable. The next day, I forgot my wallet in her car. When I got it back, the flap of the glove box was slightly ajar. Inside, mixed with the manual and napkins, was a small black wrapper. Torn, but unmistakable. The kind of protection you don't carry for errands. I took a photo with my phone. Put everything back exactly as I found it. When she came home that night, I was chopping vegetables. She kissed my cheek, too quick. Her hand smelled like hotel soap. I handed her the knife without looking. She didn't say a word. I had my proof. Now, I needed strategy. Not confrontation. Precision. Jenna's tone shifted in those weeks. She started saying things like, "You've been distant lately," or, "Is everything okay with us?" Echoes of concern that didn't belong to her. They weren't real. They were performative, lines someone told her to say. Probably Dylan. She left her phone unlocked once, during a shower. I didn't dig, just glanced. The recent calls list had one frequent name, R. Voss. Not Dylan. I screenshotted it. Later found out it was Rachel Voss, her co-worker, the one who'd always been too interested in our marriage, who once asked if Jenna felt appreciated. That same day, Jenna tried something new. She brought home a framed photo of us, an old beach trip, sunburnt and smiling. She set it on the hallway table like a trophy. It wasn't nostalgia. It was deflection. At dinner, she asked if I'd thought about therapy. That we could rebuild. Her exact word. Rebuild what? She hadn't confessed. She hadn't apologized. She was trying to preempt fallout, controlling the narrative before I could even speak it aloud. I told her I'd think about it. Then changed the subject. Let her squirm in the silence. The next morning, her car keys were missing from the hook. I found them inside her purse, wrapped in a napkin. She never did that before. My guess. She didn't want me checking the glove box again. I already had the photo, the memory, the scent on her hands. She was trying to cover her tracks. Badly. Later that night, she brought up Dylan, by name. "I ran into Dylan Carter today," she said, pretending it was casual. "His company's doing maintenance for our office now." Small world, huh? She smiled like it was funny. I let her sit in that lie. I nodded. Funny. Then I got up, took my plate to the sink, and stared out the window. I saw our neighbor walking his dog in the dark. That dog barked every time Jenna came home late. Every time Dylan dropped her off half a block away. She didn't know I'd already spoken to the neighbor. Or that I had one of those barks time-stamped. Audio proof, right before the Granite Crest visit. Jenna thought she was setting the scene. But I had already written the ending. Rachel Voss became the crack in the mirror. A colleague, yes, but more than that, a whisperer. She'd known about Dylan. Maybe not at first. But she knew now. She was too careful around me. Too polite. I visited Jenna's office unannounced, claiming I was nearby. Rachel's face fell when she saw me. Her eyes darted toward Jenna's desk, then back to mine. She offered me coffee. Her hands trembled. Jenna emerged from her glass-walled office moments later, all smiles. Her blazer crisp, lipstick too precise for a Friday. I hugged her and glanced over her shoulder. There, on her shelf, a new photo frame. Not us. Her and Rachel. Some bank charity gala. Didn't know you two were so close, I said. I let it hang. Jenna hesitated. She's been helping me through a lot. Helping. That word again. Rachel left halfway through the conversation, muttering about a meeting. She forgot her phone on the counter. I didn't touch it, but I saw the screen light up, Dylan's name. So she was a go-between. A handler. She wasn't just listening, she was facilitating. That night, Jenna suggested we go out for dinner. Somewhere upscale. It wasn't an apology, it was control. She dressed like she was attending a gala. I wore a gray shirt with a coffee stain on the cuff. Didn't speak much. At the restaurant, she talked about remodeling the apartment. A fresh start, she called it. I raised my glass to that. To renovations. She clinked it. Smiled too wide. She didn't know I'd already installed something better, a voice-activated recorder under her side of the bed frame. Catches everything above a whisper. Rachel had told her to get ahead of me. But they were already behind. The first night the recorder caught something, it wasn't words, it was timing. Midnight. Bedroom door clicked open. Jenna's steps. The rustle of a bag. The zipper of her tote. A pause. Then the unmistakable crinkle of packaging. Not loud, but distinct. A whisper of betrayal wrapped in plastic. Then silence. No call. No message. Just her, alone in the room. Preparing. She didn't know I was in the guest room that night, wide awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling fan, waiting for sound she didn't think anyone could hear. The next morning, she acted normal. Over normal. Made breakfast. French toast, strawberries. Whipped cream. She hadn't cooked for me in weeks. I took a bite, nodded. Didn't say a word. The recorder was already uploading to a cloud drive. I backed up everything. Triple copies. One to a flash drive taped behind my desk drawer. One to a secure email account she didn't know existed. And one to a safety deposit box I opened under my mother's maiden name. That same day, I cleaned the bathroom cabinet. Moved things around. Left a subtle gap in her drawer, just enough to mark if something was touched. 2 days later, her travel-size shampoo was gone, then returned slightly damp. She'd been showering somewhere else. That night, she came home wearing different earrings than she left with. Small details, but not to me. To me, they were timestamps. Shifts in behavior. Edits in the script. She tried to initiate intimacy. Her hand touched mine. "I miss us," she said. I didn't move. "Do you?" She froze. Her eyes searched mine for softness. There was none. She kissed me anyway. I let her. I counted the seconds until she pulled away. 4. Then she smiled. "Let's go away next weekend. Just us." I agreed. Told her it was a great idea. Already knowing she'd cancel. Already knowing Dylan had his kids every other weekend, and this wasn't one of them. She thought she was weaving a web. She didn't see the scissors in my hand. She bailed on the weekend trip Thursday night. Said her manager needed her to cover a loan signing on Saturday. Claimed it came up last minute. Said she felt awful about it, offered to make it up to me with a staycation. I told her it was fine. Told her work comes first. I already knew she'd booked a room at the Riverview Inn, room 207. I had the reservation confirmation forwarded from a dummy email I created weeks earlier. She'd logged into it on our shared laptop once, not realizing the autofill cached her credentials. Friday evening, I followed her from work. She didn't notice the black sedan 3 cars behind. She didn't notice anything anymore. She was too secure in the lies she thought were working. She didn't go to the office. She drove straight to the Riverview, parked on the far side. Dylan was already there. I watched him get out of his truck, looking over his shoulder like a teenager sneaking out. I stayed in my car. Took photos. Video. Time-stamped everything. At home, I greeted her like nothing happened. Made us dinner. Let her talk about how exhausting her work weekend was going to be. Let her lie through a mouthful of wine. That night, she left her phone on the nightstand. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. The recorder had already picked up her whispered call to Rachel in the bathroom. He booked it, Ratch. Room 207. Yeah. Dylan's bringing the wine. No, Marcus is still clueless. I think we're in the clear. Clueless. That word hit with a chill. Not anger. Not pain. Just clarity. She was building a world without me in it. Carefully. Proudly. She didn't realize I was already dismantling hers, one quiet nail at a time. Sunday morning, she came home around 10 a.m. Hair still wet from the hotel shower, a grocery bag in her hand, 2 cartons of eggs, a baguette, and almond milk. The same items she'd claimed she needed to swing by the store for. All a prop. A cover for what had really gone down in room 207. I was already in the kitchen, reading the paper. She kissed my cheek. Too soft. Too careful. You look tired, I said. She laughed. Didn't sleep well. You should rest. I'll be fine. She went to the bathroom, showered again. I knew why. Dylan's scent, maybe. Or guilt. Either way, it didn't matter. That afternoon, I mailed a manila envelope. Inside, printouts of Dylan's texts with Jenna. Copies of Riverview's booking records under her name. A photo of Dylan and Jenna walking into the hotel. I didn't send it to his wife. I sent it to his sister. I'd found her through a real estate listing. She sold homes in Cedar Park and had a family blog filled with birthday photos and Sunday dinners. I knew Dylan's wife followed her. I didn't need to draw blood. I just needed the smell of it. Jenna's world was built on secrecy. Dylan's was built on appearances. Both fragile. Monday, she left early for work. Said she had a team call. I watched from our apartment window as she met Dylan 2 blocks away. She handed him something, a small gift bag. He laughed. Kissed her neck. They drove off. By noon, Dylan's wife had seen the photos. By 3, his sister had messaged Jenna publicly, an innocuous tag in a post. Some people forget where they came from. That night, Jenna was tense. Quiet. She drank wine but didn't talk much. No mentions of Dylan. No false affection. She was waiting for something. A signal from the other end. I gave her nothing. Just silence. Just the clink of my fork on the plate. She wasn't sure what had changed. But something had. And uncertainty, for someone like Jenna, was the beginning of the end. Tuesday morning, Jenna stood longer than usual in front of the hallway mirror. Fixing her hair. Reapplying lipstick. She'd already done both in the bathroom minutes earlier. This wasn't grooming. It was avoidance. She wasn't looking at herself. She was listening, waiting for my voice, a slip, a reaction. I gave her none. As she grabbed her purse, I handed her a thermos. Her name engraved on the side, a gift from me 2 anniversaries ago. She hadn't used it in months. She took it, paused. Thanks. She looked like she wanted to ask something else. I went back to my coffee. That day, I checked the recorder again. The audio from Sunday night revealed more than I expected. Not from her. From Dylan. He'd been in our apartment for 10 minutes. While I was at the store. He called her Jen, but this time, added something else, quietly, offhand. You know Marcus isn't stupid, right? He's quiet, not blind. She didn't respond. Just shuffled something in a drawer. Then her voice. Rachel thinks he suspects. So now Rachel had a voice in our house, too. That night, I moved the flash drive to a new hiding spot. Under the baseboard in my office. I drilled it in, sealed it back, painted over it. They were getting sloppy. And that meant the timing was close. At 1 a.m., Jenna slipped out of bed. I pretended to be asleep. She made a call on speaker, barely above a whisper. I don't know what to do. A pause. No. He hasn't said anything. But he's different. He looks at me like he already knows. Another pause. Then, maybe I should tell him. Before it gets worse. My blood slowed. Not from fear. From calculation. She was breaking ranks. Not for me, for control. If she confessed, she'd spin it her way. Frame it as a mistake. An emotional gap. A cry for help. I couldn't let that happen. Because if Jenna told the story first, she'd own it. And I'd be the villain in the version she sold. Wednesday morning, I called in a favor. Ethan, an old friend from med school, now in a private clinic with IT infrastructure better than most corporate firms. I told him I was helping a colleague deal with a marital situation and needed a secure system to catalog and timestamp personal audio files. He didn't ask questions. I paid cash. By evening, every clip, photo, screenshot, and document I had was encrypted and mirrored in 3 locations. If anything happened to me, those files would surface, automatically. At home, Jenna cooked dinner again. Chicken marsala. Her fallback dish when she was trying to create warmth. Halfway through the meal, she asked, "Do you trust me?" I didn't look up. Why wouldn't I? She tilted her head. You've been distant. I set my fork down. You said the same thing a few weeks ago. Her face flushed. She hadn't realized I'd kept that receipt. She reached across the table. I didn't take her hand. Instead, I asked, "Did Dylan call you today?" Her fingers stopped mid-reach. Why would he? I shrugged. Rachel tagged you both in a photo. Looked recent. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then smiled. That was months ago. I nodded. Strange. Timestamp says last week. She pushed her plate away. Are you checking up on me? I stood. I think I'm done eating. She didn't follow me. Just sat there, still, watching. Later, when I checked the recorder, it picked up her voice again, phone pressed tight against her pillow. He knows. I don't know how much, but he knows. A pause. I think he's setting me up. She was right. But what she didn't know was how long the setup had been in motion. Because while she was running errands, I'd already bought the domain name with her full name in it. Registered, private server. Landing page in draft mode. Ready to launch with one click. Her voice. Her lies. Her texts. All in order. It wouldn't be loud. It would be surgical. Targeted. I didn't want everyone to see it. Just the right people. Thursday, she called out of work. Said she felt sick. Said she needed a day to breathe. She spent most of it on the couch, phone in hand, typing, deleting, typing again. I walked past her twice. Each time, her screen flipped dark. She was rewriting. Not her messages, her version of events. The worst part? She wasn't even doing it for me. She was doing it for her audience. Her family. Her friends. Her coworkers. People who'd believe the first version they heard. She was shaping herself into the victim. At 3:17 p.m., she called her mother. The recorder caught it. Mom, I think Marcus is going through something. He's been cold. Detached. I'm scared he might do something impulsive. That word. Impulsive. It was loaded. Subtle. Framing me without saying it out loud. At 4 o'clock, she called Rachel. I don't think he's sleeping. I heard him moving around at 2 a.m. He's never done that before. Rachel's reply, you need to get ahead of this. Say something before he does. Control it. At 6:15, Jenna finally approached me. We need to talk. I looked at her. Neutral. About what? She hesitated. Us. I nodded slowly. Then talk. She didn't confess. She narrated. She built scaffolding. Claimed she felt alone. That I'd been married to my job. That Dylan just listened. That nothing happened until recently. A mistake. One she regretted. I listened. Not interrupting once. She cried. But she didn't say sorry. When she finished, I asked, are you done? She nodded. Good. Because now I'm going to talk. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I listed dates. Names. Hotel room numbers. The make and model of Dylan's truck. The name of the server at the restaurant where they first met. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. I ended with one line, you never looked at me. You looked past me. And now you don't see what's coming. Then I stood and walked out. Not away. Just into the office. To finish the upload. The site went live Friday morning at 7 a.m. A simple landing page. No flashy colors. No drama. Just a list of names, dates, recordings, and transcriptions. No accusations, just facts. Laid out clean, chronological, undeniable. Her name was the domain. First, middle, last. The tagline, in her own words. I didn't share it widely. I emailed it to 10 people. All targeted. Her bank supervisor. Her HR rep, 2 coworkers I'd met at office parties. Rachel's branch manager. Dylan's wife. Dylan's sister again. His 2 teenage children, via their school email accounts. And Jenna herself. I watched from the kitchen as she checked her phone. Her face shifted fast, curiosity, confusion, panic. Her hands trembled. She dropped her coffee. She ran to the bedroom. Locked the door. Within an hour, the calls started. Her mother. Then Rachel. Then Dylan. Then the bank. She came out mid-morning, pale and shaking. Eyes hollow. You ruined me, she whispered. No, I said. You did that. I just gave the truth a spotlight. She lunged for my phone. I didn't stop her. It was clean. Everything had already been removed, reset, rerouted. She stormed out. I knew where she was going, Dylan's house. But it didn't matter. By then, Dylan's wife had filed for separation. Her attorney had already reached out to mine, friendly, collaborative. Apparently, Dylan wasn't so charming under oath. By 3 p.m., Jenna's bank credentials were revoked. Temporary suspension pending an ethics investigation. I didn't hear from her that night. And I didn't need to. She wanted control of the story. I gave her every page. But I bound it in her handwriting. Saturday morning came quiet. I made coffee. Opened the windows. Let the cold in. Jenna didn't come home. She didn't call. But someone else did, Rachel. A number I hadn't saved. Marcus, can we talk? I let her speak. Her voice shook. You didn't have to destroy everything. I stayed silent. She went on. I didn't know how far it had gone. I thought it was emotional. She told me she was confused. That you were. I cut in. She lied to you too, then. Silence. You covered for her, I said. You helped her coordinate. Shielded Dylan. Played intermediary. I was trying to be a friend. No. You were trying to be innocent. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Jenna texted. Please don't contact my family anymore. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded that message to her mother. With one line. I'm done. But she hasn't stopped lying. By afternoon, my lawyer called. Dylan's legal team had submitted a restraining order request against Jenna. He claimed she showed up to his house screaming, woke his kids, damaged property. I already knew. A neighbor recorded it and sent it to me anonymously. It was bad. By Sunday, the site had been mirrored by a gossip blog. I hadn't done it. Someone else had. Traffic exploded. Jenna's name was now indexed. Every search pulled her up. HR, clients, friends. She was no longer the narrator. She was the subject. By evening, I turned the site offline. Not out of mercy. Out of strategy. The damage was done. But by taking it down, I looked clean. Controlled. Jenna, meanwhile, was still spiraling. Still calling Dylan. Still trying to spin. But she didn't realize. Dylan was already cutting her out to save himself. One betrayal, devouring another. Monday, I asked her to meet me in a public place. Neutral. Civil. A coffee shop we used to go to when we first dated. She hesitated, then agreed. She walked in 15 minutes late, wearing sunglasses she didn't need and a jacket that wasn't hers, likely Dylan's. Her posture was collapsed. Her confidence, gone. She sat across from me without speaking. I slid a folder across the table. Inside, divorce papers. Clean. Irrevocable. Her hands trembled. You planned this, she said. I nodded. Since the moment you lied to my face and looked relieved when I believed you. She flipped through the papers. You're not even going to talk about it. About us. There is no us, Jenna. There's what you chose to do. And what I chose to do after. Her voice cracked. I made a mistake. No, I said. You made a series of decisions. Deliberate. Repeated. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. She looked away. What do you want from me? Nothing. That's the point. She didn't cry. I think she wanted to. But she realized it wouldn't work. I lost everything, she whispered. No. You gave it away. She signed. I didn't rush her. When she was done, I stood, took the papers, and left without looking back. Outside, the wind cut cold across my face. But I felt warm. Not because I'd won, because I'd stopped letting her play in the shadows. She had been the architect of the lie. I had just built the mirror she couldn't escape. By Thursday, everything was boxed. I left the apartment first. Took only what was mine, surgical, precise. No theatrics. No final note. She came back to an echo of a space. No photos. No books. No trace of my hands on the place we once called home. The lease transfer was already in motion. Utilities split. Credit card removed. Joint account closed. Her name left floating in every forgotten login she'd once used to siphon love into secrets. I didn't block her. I didn't need to. Her silence was louder than anything she could have said. Dylan had gone quiet too. His wife had filed. His sister stopped speaking to him. His business was hemorrhaging clients, one landscaping contract dropped after another. Rachel's job was under review. HR had launched an internal probe. Someone forwarded her voice memos from the recordings. Her voice, coaching a married woman how to lie. None of it was illegal. But it didn't need to be. Reputation, once cracked, doesn't unshatter. I received one last message from Jenna. A single sentence. Did you ever love me? I stared at it for a long time. Then deleted it. No answer was the answer. That night, I sat in a new apartment. Smaller. Quieter. Empty. But it was mine. The coffee brewed slower. The air felt cleaner. And for the first time in 2 years, I slept without waiting for a door to open in the dark. It's been 6 months. The domain is gone. The files deleted. The flash drive burned. Not out of guilt, out of completion. The war was over. And I didn't need trophies. I never told my parents. Never explained to old friends why Jenna vanished from the photos. Let people assume we grew apart. No drama. No gossip. Control, even in silence. Jenna moved cities. Last I heard, she took a job under a different name. One of her cousins reached out, trying to gauge if I'd tell the whole family. I didn't respond. Dylan still lives here. Alone. Drives a new truck. Same badge on the side. But when I pass one of his work crews, they don't wave. They glance away. Word travels. Rachel. She quit banking. Went into consulting. Reputation still bruised, though the scars are mostly invisible. But I remember. Every whisper. Every sidelong glance. Every time Jenna kissed me after kissing him. And now. I drink my coffee by the window. Watch the sunrise over the river. Read the paper without suspicion. The silence no longer has weight, it breathes. There's no vengeance left in me. Because there's nothing left of her in me. Some nights, I still hear echoes. Not her voice. Mine. The one I had to bury, night after night, while she lived 2 lives under one roof. But now it speaks again. And it says. She said she was running errands. But that torn wrapper told the truth.